What's going on? What's going on?
Entertain the Geeky.
Hello.
What's up?
Entertain the Geeky here.
We are here.
So we were texting back and forth a little bit this week, chatting, and you were like, oh man, we got to talk about this.
Yeah, so my boss and another manager in our company just went to the Comics Pro Retailer Summit. And if you're unfamiliar with what Comics Pro is, it's basically an organization made by retailers and maintained by retailers in the comic industry specifically to give them power and allow them to communicate directly with the publishers as we are your partners, right? You publishers, we are retailers, we are your partners. We build the hype, we sell the books, we get the people excited about the things. So it's a chance for retailers to find out some tidbits of information that about upcoming things, or to talk with distribution, to talk about what's doing, what do we think is going well, what do we think is going not so well.
People on the ground, you know?
Publishers send representatives. The head of Diamond was apparently there this year, Steve something or other. I don't remember his last name.
Diamond, the most hated distributor in the world.
It's losing a little bit of its power, I think, though, right? Because Lunar started out with DC, but they have several publishers distributing exclusively through them now.
Yep.
Marvel is still distributing through Diamond, but the primary distributor of Marvel has become Penguin Random House.
Yep.
The primary distributor, not of Marvel, I shouldn't say that, of Marvel's back catalog and trades and that kind of stuff. There's actually been the better place to go to find older things. They have them while Diamond does not. So I think they're losing a little bit of that hold they had on the industry. The magazine, when you look at the previews magazine, it's so different than what it looked like even just 10 years ago. Based on, exactly. Based on
phone book that they sent every month.
Yeah. It's still a phone book. There's no doubt. I mean, it's still a big, thick thing, but the order in which things are presented, what's at the front of the book versus what's at the back of the book, that kind of stuff, because that's real estate in the magazine, right? Like it's how much are you going to spend with Diamond to make your part of the magazine pop a little more or take up a little more space or whatever, right? So it used to be, you would see DC, and Marvel had always had their own, well, not always, but in our lifetime, always had their own little side book. Mm-hmm. But Image, Dark Horse, IDW would dominate the front of the book. And while Image is still there right at the front of the book, the publisher that follows it is Boom.
Oh, wow.
Which is strange. Dark Horse has split where their stuff is. The stuff for Dark Horse in the front of the book is only single issues. Mm-hmm. All of Dark Horse's trade and reoffer stuff is at the back of the book, and then the rest of the alphabetical comics and graphic novels section. So it's just a different magazine. Like it has become something different because publishers are moving on, trying different things, getting better rates with Lunar.
Well, I mean, if you can self-distribute, which I was talking to the gentleman in Altered State, and he's like, dude, while you have to go through Diamond for a little bit, he's like, it's not like it was, man.
No.
He's like, it's so much better.
And yeah, honestly, from a retailer perspective, it has been better. I'm sure Steve's not happy, but probably why he came to the Comics Pro Retailer Summit, I imagine, right? Because he's not happy. But regardless, publishers send representatives. CB Cebulski was on hand from Marvel.
Oh, awesome.
Josh Williamson was on hand from DC. I believe it was Josh Williamson. Josh Williamson, Howard Porter, Gilliam March had gotten together to talk about an upcoming... in fact, we'll use that as a segue to jump right in. Segue.
Slide this in here.
So Williamson, Porter, March, and Chris Boccolo talked about an upcoming line-wide, apparently, DC event called Night Terrors. Night spelled with a K.
Of course it was.
Which obviously means it will probably center around Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman.
Right.
I'm not even presumably it is centering around them, obviously. But yeah, Night Terrors is the official word from DC is Night Terrors is a miniseries in which Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman find the body of their earliest enemies at the Hall of Justice. Their investigation takes them past the land of the living, beyond the land of the dead, into the realm of nightmares. The only way to save the world is to call for help from an unlikely hero, Dead Man. And I love Dead Man. I'm so glad we're doing a Dead Man story. You have no idea how excited that made me when I read that.
Did not expect that.
Yeah, Dead Man is a character. He was significant in recent memory, in our lifetimes during the Blackest Night story. Well, not specifically during the Blackest Night story, but during the Brightest Day story when he got brought back to life. He was very significant because he was the White Lantern, right? So that was obviously a significant moment. But I just love him. I think he's a cool character. And I'm glad to see a thing centering around him. They also talked about how the titles are going to get horror-themed names for the month.
Fucking cool,
or for the months that it's going on, right? To kind of show, instead of just putting the logo up top, to kind of give an indication based on what you're seeing on the cover that this is part of the horror story that we're doing. And DC's had success with horror stories lately. They did Deceased, which is just wrapping up its final arc. Which was a zombie DC story, and they did DC vs. Vampires, which was a DC vampire story that was also pretty good. I mean, I think there's still maybe a little more to that story to tell, but it's been pretty good so far. So they've had some pretty good success lately with putting their characters in these horrific, typical kind of horror trope scenarios. This Night Terrors is obviously some kind of murder mystery that takes us to the realms of the outside realms or whatever. So it seems like it might be interesting. It seems like something. And Chris Bachalo is coming back to DC for the first time in like a long time to do the main miniseries, I believe is what it was saying.
What was the last thing he did with DC?
Oh, I have no idea. That's a question that's beyond my knowledge. It's been a long time ago. Yeah, he's been exclusively doing Marvel stuff as far back as at least me working in the comic industry.
I was going to say, I think it's been like 20 years or something crazy.
At the very least, it's been while I've been in the industry, which I got into the comic industry in 2012. So,
Jesus.
Yeah. So. That was something that, obviously is a big one, and they're apparently going to do their Free Comic Book Day offering this year in May. Don't forget about Free Comic Book Day. It's the first Saturday in May. I'm not telling you to come to my store. I'm just saying go out, get some free comics. It's a cool day.
Enjoy it. It's a holiday,
just enjoy
basically.
The comic holiday that we have. Yeah. But their Free Comic Book Day offering is going to be a prologue to Night Terrors.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Which starts in the summer, apparently. So... that'd be pretty cool.
It'll be here just in time for Halloween. It's almost like they planned this.
So then CB Cebulski, like I said, came from Marvel. He's the editor-in-chief right now. To announce that they're going to... What are we doing?
In a little bit. I wasn't air humping, but it felt kind of like that.
A new crossover for Star Wars, which... if you haven't been reading Marvel's new continuity for Star Wars, it's been pretty good. I mean, I'm not going to say every story's been great, but there have been some really notable ones. Pax Darth Vader was amazing.
Darth Vader was badass.
Well, Pax specifically, Greg Pak's Darth Vader was unreal. Like, that book was just amazing.
I see dead men. Cool ass panel, man.
Yeah, that book is just amazing. Not to mention, it opened with that arc where the Emperor... in the aftermath of Revenge of the Sith, the Emperor says, well, you're not a Sith yet. You have to go kill a Jedi and take the Kyber crystal from that Jedi's lightsaber and corrupt it with your own anger and hate to turn it red, because Kyber crystals can't focus red. Mm-hmm. The only way they are able to focus red is if you corrupt the crystal, essentially murdering the crystal, because crystals are sentient things. So you essentially have to murder the crystal in order to make it red. So that whole first arc is him just like seeking out this dude who's like a recluse, like he saw the fall of the order coming and he just abandoned the order long ago. And he's just kind of living out his days with a normal life. But when Darth Vader comes, like he turns the Jedi thing on instantly and he's right back in it. Like he's skilled. He's a very skilled man who's just been out here for untold years honing his craft of being a Jedi, you know, continuing to train. But so it's looking like it's going to be a line-wide new crossover event for Star Wars. It says in Star Wars, Dr. Aphra, Darth Vader, and Bounty Hunters, which are all the biggest kind of flagship books from ongoing books from their line. The main Star Wars book centers around obviously Luke, Leia, Han, Chewie, the droids. Darth Vader is Darth Vader. Bounty Hunters is the book that's been highlighting bounty hunters that we saw on screen, but that we never really got to know.
Yeah, you didn't get their story.
Yeah, which has been really cool. And Dr. Aphra is a character that was first introduced in Darth Vader. She's kind of a mercenary, kind of bounty hunting type character. But the only tease they set out for this was a picture that showed all the logos, and it just said, "For it comes." What did it say? It says, "For it come first, it comes for the medal." That's it. That's all we got, right? Like it's just a little.
You guys.
First, it comes for the medal, implying that second, it does something, and third, maybe it does something as well. So that's all we got.
And
it was
what
just
is
like
it?
a little, and it's a line-wide event. And that's not to say they've never had line-wide events. I mean, Hidden Empire was kind of a line-wide event. War for the Bounty Hunters was kind of, or War of the Bounty Hunters was kind of a line-wide event.
It sounds kind of like the biggest line-wide event that they've done so far. Like
and maybe these other things we've seen have been building to this, right?
Like
Maybe they've all kind of been pieces.
Wars-esque kind of thing. Yeah,
maybe they've all kind of been pieces of a larger whole. But so that's all we got for that. That's like CB Cebulski. A lot of Marvels from what I, have been able to glean from internet articles and things that I've found. A lot of it was more teasing than we're telling you what this is going to be, right? We're putting the idea out here. This is what we're doing. In fact, DC actually gave synopses and kind of talked about what the details of their things were. Marvel didn't. Marvel just hits you with a teaser poster and a writer talking about the process,
I understand both ways of pushing it, though.
Yeah.
Like, Marvel's fucking brilliant there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm excited about everything they announced, and again, most of it was given to us without any context.
Go ahead and speculate, dummies.
It's just here's what we're going to do, and we'll start it this summer. Including Cebulski also talked about a new story coming this summer called Contest of Chaos. So it's a spin on the Contest of Champions. If you're unfamiliar out there with the Contest of Champions, it was basically the Beyonder pulled Marvel heroes to a planet together and made them fight to survive.
In like gladiatorial fashion.
It was basically what we saw in like Thor Ragnarok, the big gladiator arena.
Or Planet Hulk, yes.
Yeah, the Contest of Champions. But the teaser poster just says Contest of Chaos, and absolute chaos corrupts absolutely. And apparently...
is this a Loki thing that we're getting here?
No. So it says, referencing the classic 70s series, Contest of Champions appears to pit Venom, Deadpool, Spider-Man, Wolverine, Captain Marvel, Storm, Scarlet Witch, Human Torch, both Captain Americas, Ghost Rider, Thor, Moon Knight, Spider-Gwen, and Iron Man against each other.
Oh my God. That's going to be fucking sick.
Yeah. It doesn't say for what, and it doesn't say, or it didn't give us any indication as to who.
But we know exactly what's going
was pulling
to happen.
them together.
Yes.
Chaos could imply Loki, obviously, but
right.
chaos could also imply chaos magic.
Sure.
So it could be a Scarlet Witch or a Doctor Strange type of story. Stephen's wife, who we met in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, was carrying the mantle of Sorcerer Supreme while Stephen was dead. I put that in quotes because he's not dead anymore. He's alive again.
When he was unwell.
Clea, she carried the title of Sorcerer Supreme while he was presumed dead. Now that he's back, he's taking the mantle back. But I could definitely see Clea maybe being involved, being as how they brought her back very recently. And you can say, oh, well, that had to do with the movies. But yes, probably. But also, they don't bring back a character just to make you feel like they're also going to usually do something with that character, right? Bringing back the Beyonder is leading to a new Avengers thing that's gonna be going on, right? So they don't just do that stuff out of nowhere.
Right, there's definitely a ripple effect with it.
Yeah, exactly. There's a reason why they're doing it. So I could see Clea being involved somehow, the magical side of the Marvel universe, of the Marvel comic universe being involved. Chaos, and again, they know that's where our mind's going to go first, right? So Chaos makes me think Scarlet Witch immediately, which makes me think it's not going to be Scarlet Witch, right? Because they know that's where our brains would go first. So I could see it being a Strange thing. They're putting a lot. He's got a new series going on right now. They're putting a lot into the return of Steven.
Yeah, I mean, and here, anything that they do for that is good for the movies.
Exactly.
So it makes perfect sense.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And so they didn't talk about this. They didn't talk about the details of this at all, other than a few things that Casey specifically heard in the room. Casey is my boss. She's the one who was actually here. So these last couple of things are things that I got directly from her. One is 2023 is the 60th anniversary of the Avengers and the X-Men. 1963, they both series started. So 1963, 2023 is the anniversary, the 60th anniversary.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Means we'll be getting some sick variant covers.
Yeah. They showed off an image that I think Casey said was done by Nick Bradshaw, of major characters from both teams, kind of looking a little more classic, looking in their old school looks, you know? And they did talk about how this coming story, Fall of X, because since Jonathan Hickman had taken over, there have been different eras of what this is. There was House of X, there was Rise of X, right? There was all these they keep doing all these different eras. And there's an upcoming one for the summer called Fall of X. And most of us, rightfully so, especially if you've been reading all the X-Men books like I have, and most of my customers have, because I've been hyping them and I've been talking about them.
You have to read this.
I'm very excited, about what the X-Men have become lately. It's been a very big resurgence of their popularity, and I like the X-Men. That was one of the first comics I got into.
Awesome. Yeah.
That and Batman, right, were the two kind of comics I gravitated towards. So we all assumed, rightly so, that Fall of X meant the Krakoa era was coming to an end. Krakoa is where they're living now. Krakoa was a character that was introduced in Giant Size X-Men #1 from 1975. And it's a sentient island that had lured mutants to it to feed off of them. But apparently, it is a mutant. It is a sentient island, and they have recently come to an accord with it, and they are living on it. Krakoa
as
as a sovereign state.
Thank you. Sovereign is what I was trying to say.
As a sovereign state. They have representation at the United Nations. They are involved in the politics of the world and stuff like that, because they have these drugs that are helping humans get rid of Alzheimer's disease, extend the life of humans, cure cancer. They've done all these things.
Brilliant medical advances.
Brilliant medical advances through mutant science. So we assumed, again, getting back on track, that Fall of X was going to be the end. But C.B. Skowalski said it's not. The Krakoa era will go on. Fall of X has to do with something that is within the story, not necessarily the end of what the story represents.
Interesting.
Yeah, so the Krakoan era will go on. It is going to be the future. According to C.B. Skowalski, this is the future of the X-Men. This is what the X-Men is now. Because I think that's brilliant, right? Because what Hickman did is he created a world in which the mutants said, yeah, you guys, you humans, you can have the planet for as long as it sustains you, but it's going to be our planet one day. We are the next stage in human evolution, and evolution dictates that you will fall and we will rise, and it will be our planet. And then something will come along that's more evolved than us and replace us. That's how evolution works, right? So having them just say, we're going to wait it out, and here's some drugs that'll make your life super good, but just leave us alone and understand that mutants do not follow the laws of man anymore. And all mutants by birth can claim citizenship on Krakoa. and amnesty is granted to mutants who have been convicted and imprisoned by humans, because mutants do not follow human laws anymore. That's not who we are. We have our own laws. We have our own system of governance, and we're going to use it. And it's great, and I'm glad it's going to stick around. That is something that I've really enjoyed, and I'm very excited about that. And then the last thing, so this apparently had popped up on the internet, and I had just not noticed it. And again, we get busy in our lives. We work, and we have busy days where we can't, scroll mindlessly on our phones.
Right.
And I didn't even notice it. And she came back, and I said, how'd it go? And what's up? And she started telling me about different things. And she said, oh, and Jonathan Hickman was there, and Brian Hitch. And because Brian Hitch is going to be working on Contest of Chaos, right? So Brian Hitch was there, and Hickman was there. And she said, and they announced a new book they've got coming out this summer. I was like, oh, that's cool. What's that? She's like, it's called Ultimate Fallout. And I'm sitting at the computer, and I literally stopped, and I went, wait, Ultimate Universe? Like the Ultimate Universe? And she was like, yeah, Hickman's bringing back the Ultimate Universe. And my brain exploded. I was just like, are you kidding me? I'm so excited. I'm going to be talking about this with everybody. And I have. There's not a person who's been in my store in the last week that would care about it that I have not talked about it with, and several people who didn't care about it until I started talking about it.
People walk in
talking about it with them.
When he greets them, he's like, "Do you know they're bringing the Ultimate Universe back?" And people are like, "Dude, I'm here to get these hero clicks."
Yes. So I'm talking about it with everybody. Because the Ultimate Universe, we've talked about the Ultimate Universe on the show before. Yeah. We've talked about Ultimate Spider-Man being both one of our favorite Spider-Man, collectively one of our favorite Spider-Man stories. And it was just, I think the reason it resonated so well with the fans of the time like me is I wasn't alive in the 60s. Right. I wish I would have been there to buy X-Men #1 on the shelf, because I would have, right? If that was me in the 60s, that would have been the comic I bought. So we didn't get to watch this be built brand new. We didn't get to watch this be built from the ground up. And the Ultimate Universe represented a chance for us.
Oh yeah, we straight up saw it there, yeah.
We're watching the stories brand new. And they take place in modern time. Mm-hmm. The kids in this story, they sound like me. They talk like me, right? Like they're kids. They're modern children. They're not 1960s children.
Right.
And so it was so cool. It felt like we were getting in on something, exciting, getting on the ground floor. These are the characters but they're not.
A little different.
Right? This is an alternate universe, so we can tell the story a little differently. We can do different things with it. We can have the characters surprise you in ways that you aren't expecting. And it did that. I think it did that in spades. I mean, throughout its entire run, it kept surprising me.
The Ultimate Universe was definitely a turning of things on their head.
Yeah.
At certain points in time.
Yeah.
Because there were these beautiful things that were cohesive with what we knew.
Yeah.
And then there was just oh, hey, here's a huge curveball for you. See if you pick up on that.
Yeah,
kids.
Exactly. And oftentimes it was something that they were playing with a character that was so well established that anything that was different was glaring, because I know who Colossus is. I've read Colossus since I was a child. I am well aware of who he is as a character. I know who Wolverine is.
Right.
But when you throw me these curveballs, it was not for shock value. It was because this isn't that.
Right.
We're not trying to shock you. We're just trying to show you that this can be different. This story can be told in a different way. It doesn't have to be. That's the beauty of the idea of the multiverse to begin with.
Right.
We don't have to tell the story the same. We can tell it any way we want.
Infinite possibilities on how the story can be told.
Exactly. Yes. And Ultimate Fallout. No. Ultimate Invasion is what the story is called. Yeah, I lost my train of thought there for a sec. Ultimate Invasion is the teaser image was all they really showed off. They didn't talk too much about the story other than, knowing we're bringing the Ultimate Universe back, and then Hickman.
Now I have to find the teaser image so
I'll show you as soon as we're done. Well, okay, yeah, we would put it on the screen, the teaser image. I have it. I'll just text it to you.
Okay, text it to me so I can,
the teaser image shows off in the background clearly the cover of one of the Ultimates books. It's got Giant Man and Cap and Iron Man and Hulk, Wasp, all the Ultimates characters that they had. And then breaking through is the Maker. And if you're unfamiliar out there with the Maker, he is an evil version of Reed Richards. He's ultimate Reed Richards,
right?
But he's evil. Like, he left the universe behind and saw the skeletal structure of space and time, and it changed him, and he went insane.
Kind of like Kang.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's no coincidence. Kang is a descendant of Reed. He's Nathaniel Richards. That's his real name. He's a descendant of Reed. So he saw into the void, and it changed his perspective, and he came back as a villain, and he maintained that. He was a villain throughout the rest of the Ultimate Universe's run. The Fantastic Four book was gone after that. There was no Fantastic Four anymore. And they seeded this in Venom. Donny Cates was writing Venom and had the Maker, because he survived Secret Wars. There was a few characters like Miles and various other characters that kind of came over after the Ultimate Universe was destroyed. Yeah. And the Maker was one of them. And so he's studying symbiotes. So his story intersects with Venom in that way, especially as Venom we got introduced to Dylan Brock, Eddie's actual son, who was conceived while he was connected to the symbiote. So he has all kinds of weird powers, and they were trying to understand how to help him. But the Maker never is helpful. He's always kind of got his own agenda. And we found that out early on when Eddie and Dylan leave after some tests, and a portal opens, and 4 versions of Reed Richards come walking in. One's in the regular costume, one's in like the FF costume, one's in like a spacesuit, right? It's 4 different versions of Reed. And the Maker turns to them, and he's like, I'm on the verge of a breakthrough. I will get my universe back. And with the understanding that you let me be on the council. And the Reed that's kind of looks normal, the normal looking Reed, he kind of steps forward and he says, no Reed that serves on our council stands on a broken universe. So if you can get your universe back, your spot is assured. Because they see the intrinsic value of a Reed that has seen more than them.
Right.
He's valuable to them because he's seen the atomic structure of space and time. He peered into the void. He lost his mind, but he's also got a unique sense of clarity about what the multiverse is. And they want that. So, presumably, the reason the teaser image shows the Maker is because he's going to be at the center of the rebirth of the Ultimate Universe. But surrounding the Maker in the image are regular 616 characters. Miles was an Ultimate Universe character, but regular Cap and regular Iron Man and regular Hulk and, other characters that kind of surround him. So are regular 616 universe characters going to the Ultimate Universe? Is Reed drawing them in? Also, what does that mean for Miles? Miles is from the Ultimate Universe. Do he and his family go back home now?
Is this normal all of a sudden?
Right.
Yeah.
Do we just get to go home now to our regular reality again? There's all kinds of implications, and I have no idea what any of it means. But what I am very, very excited about is the fact that we're rebirthing the Ultimate stuff, and we're going to do a new line-wide launch after this miniseries is done of Ultimate books. I'm excited about that.
I'm excited for this one, because it's that. Well, a lot of people, they're like, where do I start? Great fucking starting point.
Well, yeah. I would assume you might still need to read other Ultimate books, but my hope is, because they're bringing it back, maybe they'll put those other books back in print again.
Oh, God.
Because the only one that's maintained as print is Spider-Man.
Right.
But maybe they'll put X-Men back into print. Maybe they'll put Ultimates back into print.
Even if they go through and do some new first issues for all these.
At the very least, you need to put at least the Fantastic Four story where Reed lost his mind back into print.
Right.
Because that informs who the Maker is. You need that story. That's how he was born,
Absolutely.
So I don't know, but all I know is my head is exploding. This is something that happened at a prime time in my life for comics in the early 2000s when the Ultimate Universe was launched, like the height of my crazy fandom. And I own every Ultimate comic. Like, seriously, every book that was part of the Ultimate Universe or even included the Ultimate Universe as like a multiversal thing.
Yep.
I own it. It was my favorite thing growing up. So I can't wait. It's coming out in the summer.
What's fucking sick about that, I would love to see your comic collection. Just the boxes.
I mean, yeah. I actually need to reorganize stuff because I had some boxes get damaged, and I've got a lot of stuff just stacked in a room that's unorganized.
Yeah, it's always cool to see people's collections. Like when
well, you want to help me organize it? You can look through it all.
Dude, I'm totally in. I would totally do that. What's funny? So they do the printed short boxes now, and like they're grossly overpriced.
Yeah,
but they're fucking cool.
They are cool.
And I'm like, man, I should get those just so I can have my comics in my office because I want them here.
Right.
They're important. I think maybe.
No, they are important.
They're important to me.
If they mean something to you, they're important to you. It doesn't matter if they're important to anyone else.
Well, and it's so funny because we're talking about the funny books again, and it's like, oh man, the funny books are important to me. And like we've talked about drawing character traits from them that we've implemented in our own lives and how important that is.
Comics have shaped my adult life.
Right, and it's fucking cool. And it's like, dude, well, I should probably have those present often. And maybe I can share them with somebody else, and maybe it'll make an impact on their life. It's just cool, man.
Yeah, I mean, I need to reorganize my stuff just because I'm not a guy who likes it to be not organized.
Right.
It's a little, grating. It kind of pulls at me a little bit.
I think that's part of being a collector.
Yes.
When you have your collection, it has to be in a certain order.
Yes.
And if it's not in order, it's like, well, this isn't even fucking collection right now. This is awful. That's what this is. Yeah. I get it. I get it.
But yeah, so that's what I got from Comics Pro. And I obviously did not touch on everything. There's a lot more to touch on. Sure. I touched on the DC and Marvel stuff because that's the stuff that I care about. I'm not saying I don't care about other things. I'm just saying that's the stuff that draws my attention. But if there's something that draws your attention, tell us about it in the comments. I want to hear about it. The place I found my resources, and they're not paying me to say this, and I'm not even a big fan of their website or the man in charge of it, but Bleeding Cool, look, I got to give it to the guy. He always has the scoops. He always has the updates, and he does it underhandedly, I'm sure, sometimes to get them. But he always seems to have the scoops. So he's got a whole page that just has all the articles linked that are about various presentations. All the publishers were there. I mean, Boom was there, and Oni was there, and Image was there. Everyone was there. These are just the things I talked about are just the things that kind of draw my attention, that keep my eye.
For sure.
Right? The things, if I'm searching, that's what I'm looking for.
Well, you're a big books guy.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I don't like small books.
Sure.
I do. There are plenty of small books I like.
Not saying that you don't like the small press, but the big books are really, that's like your bread and butter.
Yeah, and honestly, if the book club thing works out, Little Monsters is a future book club book. It's only 13 issues, self-contained story, and oh my God, it's insane. It's one of the greatest books.
I'm
Jeff Lemire,
so
Dustin Nguyen. It's so good.
I'm
such a good book.
Freaking in for
it's
that.
a vampire book, but it's awesome.
Well, and then the big announcement here is I want you guys to get a free copy of Merle's Truck Stop in Maine. It's something that over the years we've done off and on, and I think for maybe the next couple of months here, we're going to make it free to you with the promo code Geeky. It's our way of giving back to the community that's given so much to us. We want you guys to play this game and enjoy it and have a great time with it, and just spread the word, man. Entertain the geekies here. We want to share with you guys and hang out with you guys. And if we get to do that at your kitchen table in the form of this beautiful game that we've published, then let's do it that way. Cool.
Right. And if you forget the promo code, it's right there. It's right there on the screen. Geeky. It's right there. That'll be there when it's on the internet, right? Yeah. Okay, good. Because otherwise I look like a dumbass. I'm pointing at nothing.
I should like get it out.
It's right there.
It's
link below. It's right there. It's like saying something that, like, oh, there's another video. I see people on YouTube do that. Like,
oh, yeah.
More videos here. And I'm like, there's no more videos there.
They planned on putting it there, but didn't do that in post.
More videos here. Oh, wait. No, there's not.
Promo code Geeky.
Yes.
Right.
It's right there. It's
right there.
I'm pointing at it on the screen. It's right there. right underneath Chris's nipples. Right underneath his nipples. There you go.
Promo code Geeky. I should get it tattooed.
Oh my God, no.
Well, thank you for hanging out, guys. And as always, stay geeky.
Bonus content. Yeah, well,
I mean, it's there.
I see people do that on YouTube. But then when they're not pointing at anything, I'm just like, I would never want to be that person.
Just like, fuck that guy.
That's why I said it's going to be there, right, on the screen. Like, because otherwise I feel like a dumbass. Otherwise, I'm pointing at nothing. I don't want to point at nothing. Make sure I don't point at nothing.
No, it'll be there. It's in the recording, so we're safe.
All right, good.
Incredible.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was a good one.
Yeah, agreed.
What are you doing with the rest of your day? Anything good?
No. I gotta go home, make some dinner. Well, dinner, that's whiles away. But eventually at home, make some dinner, and then we're gonna watch Last of Us tonight. Tonight's Last of Us.
Hells yeah.
Second to last episodes tonight. Tonight's the cannibal episode. I'm really looking forward to this one. Also, Baker's playing one of the cannibals.
Is he really?
Yeah. He's playing so David in the game was the leader of the cannibals. He's not playing David. He's playing the right-hand guy to David, I think.
That's cool as shit,
or at least
though.
The right-hand guy to the leader, which is funny because the guy who did Tommy played the right-hand guy to Kathleen in the Kansas City episode when we met.
That's amazing.
Yeah, when we met Henry and Sam.
Yeah, I think Tara and I are going to power through that here soon.
Oh, it's so good, dude.
I know.
Good.
Well, one of the things is I know we'll want to binge it, so I'm half tempted
There's two more. It's this one and next week. Next week's the last episode.
Maybe we'll watch it next
Season
week
finale.
then.
Yeah, next week.
But
it's going to take you some time though, dude. A few of the episodes are over an hour long. And I don't think anyone's shorter than 45 minutes.
We're really powerful. We can binge the shit out
of it.
Oh,
no, I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying it's going to be a time sink because it's going to be 9 when it's all said and done.
You remember...
so you're looking at potentially about 10, 11 hours of television.
Well, it's like when Daredevil came out. I know without a shadow of a doubt for a fact because we talked about it in the store. You're like, oh yeah, I binged Daredevil last night.
The first night it came out, I did not see the whole thing. I binged the first 6 episodes.
Oh, see, here,
there was only 8 or 10.
I was going to say, I think there were 8, and I thought you powered through all of them.
No,
that
I didn't
first
get the
night.
whole
Okay.
night. I got through 4 or 5.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to get that one back.
Yeah, I'm excited even though it's not going to be, the same continuity. I'm still just excited because I think the actors are very good. I think that's what made the show good.
So it's not the same continuity, really?
No, the Netflix stuff is essentially another universe, I think, is how they're treating it at this point.
Weird, but
and
okay.
The fact that they're doing the multiverse story just makes it all make the more sense.
Yeah, it can function that way.
Daredevil's still Charlie Cox here. He's not that Daredevil, right? He's a different Daredevil.
This red and yellow one over here.
Right, it's Loki, right? Not all the Lokis looked like Tom Hiddleston, but a few of them did.
Right.
Somewhere in the multiverse is a Loki that looks just like him that leads in a completely different life.
Yeah.
So I think theoretically it's fine, right? Just to say Netflix stuff.
I mean, it's a great way to be able to
another universe
to kind of wash your hands of it.
And they're doing Born Again. I'm curious though because they already did Born Again. The Netflix show did Born Again.
Right.
That was season 3. So I'm curious if this is just more symbolic in the way they're calling it Born Again because it's Born Again.
No, this is us doing
Or they're doing Born Again because if they've got a high bar to clear if they're going to try to do Born Again.
Oh, yeah.
Because the Netflix show did great at Born Again. It
was fantastic.
When they introduced Maggie.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a great season of television when the Kingpin gets out of prison with while still making them think he's in prison. Yep. That was great. That was a fucking amazing season of television. So yeah, I don't know. I hope it's just symbolic. Oh, they're not trying to do Born
I hope
Again.
we get Jessica Jones again too, though, man. That show was so good.
Mike Coulter and Kristen Ritter had recently tweeted a thing that had people going, "Wait, are you guys coming back too? Is that happening? Is that official?" I'm sure if they are, they can't talk about it, right?
I'm sure there's some kind of contract in place.
Until Marvel's ready to make that announcement. But I have a feeling Daredevil Born Again is going to have Jessica and Luke in it.
They were so good, man. They were just so good.
I want more Luke Cage. I'm not one of those people that said I didn't like how season 2 of Luke Cage ended. When Luke Cage uses his position to become the crime boss to control where crime is in his city, I thought that was genius. I was that is such a gangster move. That is a Luke Cage gangster move. The
whole Luke Cage series was just fucking great, man.
Oh, it's so good. Mike Coulter's so good.
The only thing that was remotely inexcusable there was Iron Fist, and it wasn't as bad as everybody made it out. It just wasn't.
The first
great.
season was really bad.
It wasn't great, yeah.
No, the first season's really bad. I will say when they got into
Defenders.
the aftermath of Defenders. Well, he was in Defenders, obviously, too. And I think he was less insufferable in Defenders. Sure. But then season 2 of Iron Fist is fine. It's a fine season of television. And it was setting up what could have been an amazing third season. I think they just needed to get the kid some fight training because he just didn't look like he was
a martial artist.
The martial arts. But no, the second season was setting up the Fraction Aha Immortal Iron Fist story, and that story is fucking great.
Fucking sweet story.
That's a great story. Anything that Matt Fraction does is usually pretty good. He's a pretty good writer.
The Immortal Iron Fist is such a cool story.
He's the one who also did Hawkeye, the excellent run of Hawkeye that starts with My Life as a Weapon, with Clint just going back to his apartment, and it's about Clint. It's what he's doing when he's not out adventuring.
Yeah, that was a brilliant series.
It was a great story.
God damn. Yeah, there's a lot to be excited about there, though.
Yeah.
There's the bonus content right there. Boom.